Thank you for joining me for another video. If this is the first video that you're watching on this channel, my name is Ebony Brian, and what I do is I give easy to follow, easy to understand tips to help you to navigate the challenges and the symptoms that come along with mental health issues like anxiety and depression. So if that sounds like something that would be of benefit to you, then go ahead and subscribe now. And because I don't want you to miss any of the tips that I have coming up in the future. And you can also go back and watch my old videos because there's some great tips there too. Today's video is going to be about working with depression. So if that sounds like something that you need, some tips that you need around that, then this video is for you. So working with depression. First of all, I want to remind you all that I am not a mental health professional. I'm just a girl that has dealt with anxiety and depression for many years, and I've had to come up with some creative ways to help myself just every day get through each day, as I have different symptoms of my depression come up throughout the day. So those are the tips that I am sharing here with you. I encourage everyone, if you're suffering with mental health issues, to definitely talk to a professional and get the help you need. And then hopefully my tips can just supplement that treatment and the advice that you get from professionals and help you along your journey. So working with depression, I have had to work with depression, like I'm sure all of you have had to. Most of us have to work to earn a living, and personally, almost every day that I've had to work while dealing with depression has been really difficult. So over the years, I've just found things that really helped me and really worked for me to get through my workday. Before I had a lot of experience with this, I would be at work and I would constantly feel anxious because I wasn't being as productive as I know that I needed to be. I was in a constant state of fear of getting in trouble, getting fired, and just worried all day. On top of the depression, I would have anxiety about having depression at work. So these are some tips that I had to come up with just to help myself get through the workday. And these tips can work if you're employed, like at a job, and also if you are working for yourself. Recently, I started a business, and I use these tips every day to get myself through my workday. You know, it is a work day, even though I'm not at a job. I still have to work, for myself. So, tip number one. Tip number one is what I like to do is to create an intentions list. For most people, this would be just a typical to-do list. Personally, I don't like the title to-do list. I need all of the encouraging soft words that I can get when I'm in the middle of dealing with depression, and to do just seems like too much pressure for me. It just seems like things that I have to do, things that I should be doing, and I don't know, it just lends itself more to my depression than anything else. So I like to call my to-do list intentions list. It's a list of things that you intend to do, that you would like to do. I don't know, it just feels softer to me, and it just makes it easier for me to accept and to embrace when I call it an intentions list. So tip number one is set an intentions list for yourself. And you can put everything on that list. You can even put, the first thing you can put on that list is write my list of intentions. Boom, done. So you can cross that off and you're already on your way to completing your list of intentions just by making the list. So make an intentions list for your day, things that you would like to get accomplished during your day. The next tip is to, when you're looking over your list of intentions, tip number two is start with the easiest or most enjoyable task on your list. Sometimes with depression, you may have a hard time being motivated, feeling that you have the energy or motivation to get active and to do the things that you need to do. And if you start with the thing on your list that is the most enjoyable to you or the easiest, you can kind of give yourself some momentum. And once you accomplish that thing that's the easiest or the most enjoyable, you might get some feel good chemicals in your brain as your reward center gets activated for accomplishing something, and that might give you the energy and the momentum that you need to continue on to the list of the things that are maybe not as enjoyable or are not as easy. So start with the easiest or the most enjoyable task on your list. And it can be different for different people. Like for me, one thing that I really enjoy is organizing. So one of the first things that I always do on my list of intentions for my workday is to get myself organized, put everything in order, and make sure that my desk is clear, make sure that all my paperwork is stacked in the right places. That's something that I enjoy doing. For you, it could possibly be maybe a social task. Maybe you're a person that likes interacting with people. So your first task could be making a phone call, or it could be sending an email or a text message, or it could be meeting with your staff or meeting with your team. Maybe doing a social task is something that's the most enjoyable or the easiest for you. Whatever's easiest or most enjoyable, start with that task first. Tip number 3 is to give yourself mental breaks throughout the day. So I know for me, it's hard for me to focus for long periods of time. And, when you're at a job, you get designated breaks. But when you have depression, sometimes the amount of time that you need to work before you get a break is overwhelming. It's a little too much for what you're able to do with your limited capabilities. So while you're working, while experiencing symptoms of depression or anxiety, you can set a timer. Whatever amount of time you're able to work, you can set your timer for, whether that's 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, however long you know that you'll be able to focus. You can set yourself a timer for that amount of time. And then when the timer goes off, you can stop and just give yourself a little mental break. And whether that's just a few minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, to take some deep breaths, to get up and stretch, to tell yourself some affirmations, to read some positive quotes, to go get yourself a cup of tea, whatever you need for your personal mental break. You can do that whenever your timer goes off. And it also helps because sometimes when you have depression and anxiety and you think of things in these big, huge chunks of time, it can just be really overwhelming. But if you know mentally that you only have to concentrate for the next 15 minutes or the next 30 minutes or the next 45 minutes, it may make it easier for you to focus for that amount of time when you know you're going to get a break sooner than later. So the third tip is schedule yourself regular breaks throughout your workday, and you can utilize a timer to help you do that. So tip number 4 is to reward yourself. Set up rewards throughout your workday. And they can be things that you were going to do anyway that you didn't necessarily see in the context of a reward. But so say you have a plan to go get lunch from a place that you really love, like that sushi place down the street from your job that you really love. You can intentionally set it in your mind and tell yourself, when we get through the morning or the beginning part of our workday, we're gonna really reward ourselves and look forward to a great lunch. Or it could be something at the end of the day, like if you were already planning to go home and watch a new Netflix show or something like that. You can set it up for yourself in your brain as a reward for yourself for getting through your workday. Um, you know, we with depression and anxiety and other mental health issues, you need a lot of support, and it's really awesome if you can get that support outside of yourself with a support system, whether it be friends or families, coworkers, doctors, anyone who supports you. But also, if you can set up some support from yourself and giving yourself rewards for a job well done, or just getting through tasks or getting through a certain period of time while you have to work, is a great way to add some support to the support system that you already have, and that support coming from within yourself. So tip number 4, I think I'm on 4, is to set up rewards for yourself throughout your day, from the beginning of your day all the way to the end of your day. Let's see. Okay, tip number 5. Tip number 5 is to, well, let me set it up first. I know for me, when I'm really, really, really struggling, I can just get like mentally and physically like paralyzed, like deer in headlights paralyzed. Like my mind is working so hard with, negative thinking and just stress, that when it comes to functioning and actually getting in motion and being active, I can just get this kind of like paralyzed, just stuck feeling, and I can't figure out what to do, like how to get going, how to get moving. So if you experience that at any time during your workday, tip number 5 is to take the very next simple step. So for instance, if you're at work and you're just kind of like in a dazed state and you just feel distracted mentally, you can ask yourself, what is the most basic next step that I need to take so that I can continue on working? That could be turn on the computer. That could be pick up my pen to take notes. I know it sounds kind of crazy or kind of silly, but if suffer with depression and anxiety like I do, which I think a lot of people might, then you'll understand what I mean. So tip number 5 is try to figure out, if you're in that state of just confusion, or you just feel paralyzed and you don't know how to move forward, just take a moment and ask yourself, what is the very next most simple step that I can do? And then do that. And that might shake you out of that, paralyzed, stuck feeling that you might be in. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6, my very last tip, is to reach out for support. Ask for help. It might not always be possible while you're at work, but if you're in a situation at work where it is possible, you can ask for a coworker or even a manager or a supervisor's support. And it might be to ask someone to work together with you on a task. Sometimes if you have someone side by side with you, it might be a little bit less overwhelming. Or maybe you need someone to just round table or bounce some ideas off of, and you need to get out of your own head and be able to discuss things with someone else to get a little bit more clarity. Sometimes the depressed mind or the anxious mind can just be really, really confused, and it'll be helpful to just grab another person and just say, hey, can I run some ideas by you, or could we work together on this certain task really quick? I could really use your help. And just see, you'd be surprised that people don't mind helping. They're open to supporting you, and sometimes they may need support or help. So it's nothing wrong with reaching out and asking for some help. So those are my tips. I think I had 6. Those are my 6 tips for getting through a work day when you're dealing with depression and anxiety. So I'll go over them really quick. Tip number 1 is to create an intentions list, not a to-do list, a list of intentions, a list of things that you intend to accomplish throughout the day. And don't forget to put on the intentions list, write an intentions list. Because as soon as you're finished with the intentions list, you can cross off your first task. So, tip number 1, write an intentions list. Tip number 2 is to start with the easiest or the most enjoyable task on that list. Tip number 3 is to take mental breaks, and you can utilize a timer to structure those for you. So whether you can work for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, set a timer for that amount of time, and when the timer goes off, you can take a little short mental break to just give your brain a rest and kind of like reset yourself so that you can continue on being productive. Tip number 4 is to set rewards for yourself throughout the day. They can be enjoyable things that you were going to do anyway, but you can just think of them as rewards for yourself as you put forth the effort to function and be productive throughout your day. Tip number 5 is if you're ever feeling stuck or like you're having this paralyzed, overwhelming feeling while you're at work, is to stop and slow down and ask yourself, what is the very next most simple step that I can take so that I can continue to be productive? So that can be something as small as I need to turn on this computer so that I can begin working, or I need to grab a notepad so I can begin to take notes. So think of the most simple, easiest next step to take so that you can continue to work. And the last tip, tip number 6, is don't be afraid to reach out and ask coworkers or ask maybe managers or supervisors for support, whether it be to work with you on a task or to just discuss things, roundtable things, and just bounce some ideas off of another person. So those are my tips for getting through a workday with depression. I hope that you enjoyed them. I hope that all of them are of benefit to you. Let me know in the comments what are the most challenging aspects of working with mental health issues for you. What do you struggle with the most, and how do you deal with it? What tools do you use to get through your day when you're having a bad mental health day? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. And thank you for watching. Don't forget you can follow me on Instagram. My name on Instagram is Ebony Brian, same as my YouTube channel, EbonyBriane. And I will see you next week for another video. Thanks. Bye.